Okay, very good morning to each and every one of you, and a very happy Vesak Day. So today we are going to spend a spiritual day, and in commemorating the three main life events of the Buddha: the birth of the Prince Siddhartha, and then the enlightenment of the Buddha, and then passing away of the Buddha. So we are going to, in commemoration of these three main life events, so today we are going to observe the 8 precepts, and try to follow these precepts throughout the day, as a way of developing our spiritual qualities, and also as a way of honoring the Buddha. So we can have 2 ways to honor the Buddha. One is to offer material items to the Buddha, just like we offer flowers, candles. In that way, we beautify the places where we keep the Buddha statue. So, and offering various material items, we call it amisa puja, offering of material items. That's one way of offering. But there's a higher way of offering to the Buddha. That is, we commit to a practice. We commit to Buddhist practice, and particularly what we are going to do now, to observe and take a vow to follow a certain set of precepts, and then follow these precepts very diligently and closely, as a way of honoring the Buddha. And that's what we call Patipatti Puja, the offering by practice. So today what we are going to do is, we are going to do both, but we have come here today to do that. So, and these precepts are given by the Buddha as a way of training our mind. And these precepts really counter our habitual tendencies of the mind. Our mind is trained, or not trained, actually conditioned. Not because training means consciously trained. So we haven't really consciously trained, but our mind is conditioned to do things which may not necessarily healthy, which may not necessarily spiritually beneficial for us. So these precepts kind of help, they counter those negative tendencies, and then help us to observe those things, and then weaken those patterns. So our usual life, when we usually observe five precepts, basic five precept, like these are very basic precept that we want to live a moral life, not harming or killing living beings, and not stealing, and not sexual misconduct, and not lying, and not taking intoxicants. Those are the basic five precepts. But today, you are going to do extra little, go a step forward. So you're going to observe three additional precepts, and you're going to change one precept. So in the five precepts, the third precept is to refrain from sexual misconduct. But when you observe the eighth precept, the third precept is refraining from any sensual or sexual form of activities. So you're going to refrain from any sensual or maybe intimate um, activities, and try to pay our attention to our own body and mind, and observe those tendencies when they're occurring. And then next we are going to observe the precept to practice simplicity or modesty in our behavior. And in this today, we are observing a precept to limit our meal, to practice moderation of eating. And we observe the precept to refrain from eating in the afternoon. But the thing is that we are going to renounce our vows around 4 o'clock. Yeah, but if you like, you can keep it and skip the dinner today. Traditionally, people come and stay overnight in the temple, and they follow the precept throughout the next morning. So, so they drink, but they try to avoid meals. You can practice that, at least paying attention and practice moderation of eating. And then the next one is abstaining from entertainments. Our mind is always seeking for entertainment. We need something to gratify, either seeing or listening, and that's how our mind has been conditioned. So you always want something to rely on. So here we try to be free from any forms of entertainments, and try to simplify our mind, our behavior, and also try to restrain our senses. By doing that, because we want to experience a deeper level of happiness today. So we try to do that. But again, in the afternoon, we had to sing devotional songs. So we had to disavow our precepts before we sing devotional songs. And then the next one is refraining from any forms of beautification or adornment. We want to, just experience a simple life, not having too many things, to beautify and decorate us. And we are going to refrain that. And then also we are going to refrain from lying on luxurious beds and chairs and high chairs and beds. If I think this chair is less than 15 inches, right? So anything that is beyond 15 inches is considered high seat, and anything that is luxurious, more comfortable is considered, the seat. So we just want to experience simplicity. So we are going to refrain from those things. And anyways, this is take a commitment to live our life, live this, spend these few hours with commitment to the practice, and then try to experience a simple life. Try to experience a life that is not driven by our sensory organs, but driven by our genuine goodness in our heart. So that's what we want to experience a different way of life and way of living. And so hope that you all can stick into these precepts until in the afternoon. So if you have the papers with you, and those who are actually ready to observe the precepts, you can recite it. Others can simply listen. And so if you have the papers, you can maybe you can chant after me. So we are going to observe this precept, but we need to make a request. Still ilan wake kian doni. So therefore, I'm going to help you. Because precepts are given to you only when you request it. We are not going to impose these precepts upon you. You have to make a request. Are you willing to make a request?
Yes,
Yes, okay. So then please repeat after me. Okasa ahang bhante tisaranena saddhing attangha uposatha silang dhammang yachami anuggahang katva silang detha me bhante anukampang upadaya dutiyampi okasa ahang bhante tisaranena saddhing attangha uposatha silang dhammang yachami anuggahang katva silang detha me bhante anukampang upadaya tatiyampi okasa ahang bhante tisaranena saddhing attangha uposatha silang dhammang yachami anuggahang katva silang detha me bhante anukampang upadaya yamahang vadami tang vadete. Say Amen. Please recite Namaskare 3 times. Repeat Namo Tassa 3 times.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Please repeat after me. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Sarena gamanang sangpunnang. Amabante. The 8 precepts. Panati pata veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Adinnadana veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Abrahmacharya veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Musavada veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Surameraya majjapama dattana veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Vikala bhojana veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Nachagita vadita visuka. Dasana mala gandha vilepana. Dharana mandana. Vibhosanattana veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Uchchasayana Mahasayana veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Tisaranena saddhing attanga uposatha silang dhammang sadhukang surakkitang katva Apamadena sampade tabbang. Those who have the papers, can we read the English translation of the precepts? Can someone read?
I undertake the precept to refrain from destroying living creatures. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given us. I undertake the precept to refrain from intimate activities. I undertake the precept to refrain from false speech. I undertake the precept to refrain from intoxicating drinks and drugs which lead to terrible sins. I undertake the precept to refrain from eating at improper times. I undertake the precept to refrain from dancing, singing, music, grotesque entertainments, wearing garments, using perfumes, and beautifying the body with cosmetics. I undertake the precept to refrain from occupying luxurious seats and beds.
Okay, so remember those precepts until 4 o'clock. But if you like, you can carry on until next morning. That's how it has been done traditionally. Once we have a bigger hall here, we will let you sleep and stay in the temple, and we can follow the precepts until the next morning. And this white piece of white cloth is there for you to remind yourself of your precepts. You will be mindful of that. And then it's more like, if you see how you are wearing it, it's the same as how we wear our robe. So it's kind of, It's like a half month or none, not half, maybe quarter month or none, and to remind you that we are observing these precepts, and also the robe reminds us of our precepts too, because robe is not a dress. It's simply rectangle piece of cloth. We had to wear it. We had to like wrap around us. It's not going to stay there until we are mindful of our robe. So we always have to be mindful of our robe, otherwise it can fall down. There's no pin, there's no button. It just is simply, wrapping around. And that reminds us of our vows and of our practice. So in the same way, this piece of white cloth will remind you of your precepts, and it will also help others not to disturb you. So, and they will respect you once you have this. Okay, so let us try to live by these precepts today. And so today we have Bante Buddha Datta, came from Akron Cleveland Temple to help us. So he'll be here, and Bante Kamalasiri is with us today, and also Bante Lakana, who came here with me from Sri Lanka, is also here. So four of us will be conducting all the meditations, Dhamma talks, and Sutta discussion and chanting until the afternoon, late afternoon. So we have enough teachers today, so we can conduct very good program. So as the beginning, we will pay our respect to the triple gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Okay. So let us chant together. So if you have the books, you can turn page. Offering. Okay, let us chant together. ලෝතර බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ උතුම් බුද්ධත්වයට පත්වෙච්ච මේ උතුම් වෙසක් පුර පසළොස්වක පොහොය නිමිති කරගෙන අපි සිද්ධ කරන සීල පාරමිතාව, අපි සිල් සමාදන් වෙලා සිද්ධ කරන පළවෙනි බුද්ධ වන්දනාව ලෝතර බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේගේ අනන්ත බුදු ගුණයන් උදෙසා උපහාර පිණිස මාගේ මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති පූජා කරනවා. උන්වහන්සේගේ අනන්ත බුදු ගුණයන්ට උපහාර පිණිස මේ මල් පහන් පූජා කරනවා කියන හැඟීමෙන් අපි බුද්ධ වන්දනා කරමු. Let us recite Namaskari, the salutation of the Buddha together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Page 8. Page 8, homage to the Buddha. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho විඤ්ඤාචරණ සම්පන්නෝ සුගතෝ ලෝකවිදු අනුත්තරෝ පුරිස ධම්මසාරති සත්තා දේව මනුස්සානං බුද්ධෝ භගවාති. Homage to the Dhamma. Swankhato bhagavata dhammo samvittiko akariko ehi passiko opanayiko pancattam veditabbo vinyuiti. Homage to the Sangha. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyaya patipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Samiji patipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yatidang chantari purisa yugani Anta purisa pungala Esa bhagavato savaka sangho Ahuniyo Bahuniyo Dakkiniyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punyak Ketang Lokassati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Offering of light. Ganesarabhadittena dipena tamadansina tilokadipang sanggundang pujayami tamunudang. Offering of incense. Gandha samvara yuttena Dhupenahang sugandhina pujaye pujaniyang tang puja bhajana muttamang. Offering of flowers. Vannagandha gunopetang etang kusuma santating Pujayami mulindasya siripada saroruhe Pujemi buddhang kusumena nena Punyena metena labhami mokkang Pumpang milayati yata idam me kayo tatayati vinasa bhavang. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Worship of shrines. Vandami cetiyang sabbang Sabbadani supatititang Saririka dhatu mahabodhing Buddha rupang sakalang sada. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. හැමෝම අධිෂ්ඨාන කරගන්න අද දවසේ අපි සමාදන් වෙච්ච මේ සීලය හවස් වෙනකන් ආරක්ෂා කරගෙන අපේ සිහිය වර්ධනය කරගෙන සීලය සමාධිය වර්ධනය කරගෙන ලෝතර බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේට උසස් ප්‍රතිපත්ති පූජාව සිද්ධ කරන්න. අපේ කෙලෙස් ටිකක් හරි දශමයකින් හරි අඩු කරගන්න. අපේ අවිද්‍යාව ටිකක් හරි අඩු කරගෙන ප්‍රඥාව මෝදු කරගන්න මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති පූජා උපකාර වේවා. අද දවස අපේ සීලය, අපේ ආදිෂ්ඨානය, අපේ වීරිය වැඩේවා. මේ සමාදන් වෙච්ච අෂ්ටාංග උපෝසත සීලය අපට උතුම් මාර්ගඵල නිවන් පිණිස හේතු වෙන උතුම් සීල පාරමිතාවක්ම වේවා. සාදු සාදු. නමෝ බුද්ධාය වන්දන වඩි. නමෝ බුද්ධාය. පුස්තකාලයෙන් පොතක් අරගෙන ඉන්නේ. අයියෝ මාසේ. So today we are commemorating the birth, enlightenment, and the passing away of the Buddha. So this morning we will contemplate the deep realization that Buddha got on this special day. Of course, it is not something that we can fully comprehend at all. But if you get some glimpse, what it means to be enlightened, what really happened to the Buddha. Not fully, we are, because our mind is not capable of understanding, comprehending. But we have the Buddha's own words to explain how he went through the experience of enlightenment. And so we can rely on his own discourses and try to get some idea that can help us to understand that as human beings, what kind of progress, what kind of um, growth that we can do in our own life. Because what the Buddha did is what a human being can do. Maybe not that easy, but what we can do. And he simply showed the potential that each and every one of us is having. And the way we live our life, the way we feel, is not the optimal way that we can live our life. This is not the optimal way. We can do better and we can have more deeper realizations, and we can experience more freedom, and it may not happen suddenly, but it can gradually can happen. So therefore it's important to reflect on these great qualities of the Buddha and the kind of deep realization that Buddha had. And that can help us to encourage ourselves to, at least, if we cannot go all the way where the Buddha went, but at least if we can start our journey towards that direction. And then that's what we have done in our life, but it can help us to practice. So, Yesanya, do you know the name of our Buddha Sadhu? What is the name of our Buddha Sadhu? Huh? Yes, his name was Siddhartha. There's another name too. Siddhartha was his first name. What is your first name? Kisan. What is your last name? Huh? Yeah, so you have a first name and the last name. Buddha also had the first name and the last name. He has his family name too. Do you know his family name? Oh, you know his only first name, Siddhartha, right? His family name was Gautam. What is his family name? Gautam. And then later we used to call him Gautama Buddha because this Buddha is not the only Buddha. There were so many other Buddhas also. At least, so therefore we need to distinguish the Buddha of our time from the Buddhas who were in many, many years ago, millions of years ago. So we call this Buddha Gautama Buddha. And what is the Buddha? Buddha Sadhu, what is that? Buddha. Because the Buddha is not actually his name. Neither. Buddha Hamdrogi Buddha Namanime. Buddha was not his name. Now Kisana just told us his first name and the last name, Siddhartha Gautama. But the term Buddha does not stand for his name. It's not his name. The Buddha is actually not a name, but actually it's a state that one can achieve. And it's a state that the state that Siddhartha Gautama attained. And the very word Buddha is also not a noun. It has become a noun now, but etymologically, it is a past participle of a verb. Do you understand past participle? No. Let's say we have a verb called cook. Then we can say cooked food. So that means, so the cooked there is a past participle. What has, cook is to cook, and cooked means you have done it, right? So go is to go, gone means gone. So in that way, the Buddha is also past participle of a verb. That verb is, so Buddha and the verb is bodheti. Bodheti, which means, Bante, how we translate bodheti to English?
I think.
Yeah, bodheti or bodheti is to like realize. There are two meanings actually. One is to realize, to understand. So if someone understands something, in Pali we can call it bodheti. If someone realizes something, we can say it bodheti. There's also another meaning that means to wake up. So if you are when you wake up from your dream, you can also call it bodheti. So the Buddha means, so bodheti means to realize, to understand, to wake up. So Buddha means the awakened, yes, the awakened, the realized one, the awakened one. So that is the state that Buddha achieved, and it is a kind of removing our ignorance, our delusion, because normally, ordinary, all of us are in a kind of dreamy state that we believe all the things that we see through our senses exist as they are. So therefore, we are all kind of not in a real realization. We are all kind of dream-like state in our normal life. We don't really see things exactly as they are. We can simply operate what we experience, but to wake up from that dream of delusion, wake up from of that dream of self, ignorance, is called bodheti, and one who has realized that state is called the Buddha. So the term Buddha stands for a state that everyone is capable of achieving. But Buddha did, and not only Buddha did it, but the Buddha also taught the way for others to do it. But it took Long time for him to do it, and he did a lot of experiments. It was a long journey for him. And today we are going to study a little bit of last part exactly on that night in the enlightenment day what really happened, and that's what we are going to study in the morning. But to realize that actually um, we all ordinary living beings, including human beings, we are going we all have a underlying blindness blindness to our existence. We call it avidya. Avidya වෙන අහලා තියෙනවනේ අවිද්‍ය. Avidya. Avidya is usually we understand it as ignorance, but it's not really ignorant. Sometimes when we say in English ignorant, it may sound very negative, very judgmental. But the ignorance here doesn't mean that we don't know anything. It's simply inability to see, and also we know things wrongly. So moha, the delusion, is the other term. So usually we all are in a state of blindness. That means um, we all experience our life. Um, we all experience our life as it come to us through our senses, but not knowing how this experience is constructed. We experience the world, and we are at the receiving end of the experience. So we only see the end of the experience. We don't see the construction of the experience. Yes?
Do we make stuff up too at that point?
We construct, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we construct. But we all do in a similar way, therefore we can operate. But each individual also has their own unique part too. Yeah. So the avidya is actually not knowing how the experience is constructed, but only being at the end point of the experience. So therefore, whenever we see something or hear something, we hear the sound, and then we are in the receiving end of that sound, and then we believe that but we don't see how exactly we heard it. We forget that our ear was a part of that. Our ability of our ear, our eardrum is a part of that. Our previous experience of that sound is part of that. We don't see that whole makeup of the experience, and we only believe the end of the experience, and then we believe that what we experience is exactly what it exists out over there. But and that is so. And if we don't train ourselves, we will not see the construction of the experience. We only see the end of the experience. And when you see only the end of the experience, we tend to believe those things exist permanently. What we see, hear, smell, taste, and let's say sound. Okay, we hear a sound, and we hear it, and we sometimes it's soothing, we like it, we want to hear it again, because we think that the sound exists over there permanently, so we can hear it again and again and again. So we think that I'm hearing the same sound again and again. Maybe the same song again and again when you play. But actually, every time we hear it, we are not really hearing the same song. We are not hearing the same sound. Each time we hear it, we construct that sound through our eardrums, through our previous concepts, and there's a physical part to it, there's a mental part to that whole experience. But we don't see it. We wrongly believe that I'm hearing the same sound again. Tomorrow I also want to hear it. And then you like it, and you crave for it. You develop attachment towards it. But there's no such thing in the first place to develop our attachment. But that is not how we see it. So even when whatever we see, right now I can see this cushion right in front of me. I can close my eyes. I believe that cushion is staying there. I won't look at it again. I think that I'm seeing the same cushion again. Yes, at the conventional level, I'm seeing the same cushion. But my experience of that cushion is constructed every time that I'm looking at this cushion. is based on my apparatus, my capacities of my eye, the quality of the light. We know that color changes based on the light, and even the color itself is not really exists in the object. I mean, if you know deeply, enough about how the eye operates, this color is not really there. The now what's really happening is that the light is reflecting and touching my retina in my eye, and based on the spectrum of the light, I can see the color, right? Um, and so therefore, the color I'm seeing is not really here. This object can only reflect the light. A certain portion of the light is absorbed based on the material, and certain portion of the light is reflected. What is the percentage of the reflected light can decide what color you see in the object. So it's the actual construction of the eye. But we think that color is here, and we think that we are seeing the same color, and we want to see it again and again, and we want to own it, we want to attach to it. We think it's beautiful. Yes, it's beautiful, but it's happening here, but we don't see it. Of course, now we can talk about it because thanks to the Buddha, because he woke up, because he realized it and he has taught it, we can even talk about it. Imagine that if how a human being can know these things by himself. Buddha said that in the Vairanga Sutta, one important discourse, Buddha said that all beings are immersed in ignorance, become like an egg, completely enveloped. So, I mean, because we only see the end of the end point of the experience, we don't see the construction of the experience. We are blinded to what is really happening. And therefore, we tend to believe whatever we see, smell, taste, stay permanently. And we can own these things. We can like those things. We can dislike those things. We can develop attachment to these things. We can develop resentment because we believe that those things exist as we experience it. Because we don't see the process of construction, we only see the end. And it is impossible to think for ordinary human beings to really see this. And that is what Buddha says, that we are all like an egg. The egg, the shell is the ignorance, this blindness. How many people in the world have even realized it? It's not something that a normal person can see it. But so Buddha said that all beings are like, in the egg, like, because we are here, we are kind of blinded. And Buddha said that I have pierced the eggshell of ignorance. I have pierced the eggshell of ignorance. That's what it means to be the Buddha. He pierced that shell of ignorance. He woke up, and he is, instead of being at the end result of the experience, he was able to see the very construction of the experience. And I have pierced the eggshell of ignorance, and I am awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. Therefore, I'm the eldest in the world. Remember, we see the prince, the baby Buddha, the Prince Siddhartha. You see the fingers pointing up. Said, "I'm the first of this particular. I'm the first to break the eggshell." So Buddha said, "I'm the eldest." Yeah, Aggo Hamasmi. Or Jetto Hamasmi. Yeah, Jetto Hamasmi. So that is what it means to be enlightened. Of course, we can just have some glimpses of it, but we may not really see it. But at least have some conceptual understanding of enlightenment is important. Real understanding is going beyond the conceptual level, but at least to have that understanding is important for us to develop, confidence, develop appreciation of the Buddha, and then realize, what we can do in our own life. Do we want to stay blind all our life, or do we want to wake up a little bit? We have some awareness of what is happening. So when you realize how we construct our experience, We will not develop attachment to anything that we see or encounter. We will not develop any resentment or dislike to anything that we see or encounter, because we know that ugliness or beauty, or that pleasantness or unpleasantness is a construction. And of course, whatever available in the external world is contributing to that, but it's largely how we experience it. And our sensory organ play a very important part of it. Because we have this set of sensory experience, we experience this kind of world. We experience this kind of colors. And if you have a different set of sensory organs, we will experience a whole different world. Yes?
So, do you see colors different than I see them?
No, because maybe, but because our human eyes have some common capacities, we may probably can agree on certain colors, but each person can see things differently.
So, I saw a program where other species see different colors.
Exactly. Different, because they can detect different wavelength of the light. Because color is not really there. It's simply the wavelength of the light hitting our eye. And then we convert that, length, that wavelength to a color. So our eye can only catch certain wavelengths. That is why we can't see ultraviolet, because our eye cannot catch that wavelength. But birds can. So when birds open his eyes, he can see ultraviolet colors, level of colors too. So his world is different. And if we had an sensory organ that we can see all the, all the waves coming from cell phone towers, what do you call them?
Frequency.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Whatever. Let's say if we have a sensory organ that we can see that, what will be the world for us? Imagine. So we can see, it's what we see is actually what our sensory organs can catch. And then plus how we construct that, experience based on our prior concepts and categories. And therefore, so so the world we see, it actually is how we experience it, but not necessarily how it is there. So therefore, the world that a bird see will be very different from the world that we see. Maybe, I don't know, the dogs, I don't know how much sounds they can hear, maybe how much color they can see. So if the dog is here, when he opens his eyes, the room that we are sitting will be a complete different thing for the dog. So who's got the right vision? Can you see that as humans we got the right one? You can't say right or wrong. It's simply
It
construction.
is.
Every experience has similar value, which everything, because we construct through our sensory organ and our mental capacities. Yes.
One thing that when my kids were little, somebody mentioned that they see just like the black and white and red, and that's why most of the toys that they made for them to are those colors.
But later
So-
they develop
So
more
they
colors.
are developed,
Mm.
yeah,
Colors, yeah.
color
Exactly.
after.
After, yeah.
There is no way to know. It's
Mm.
like asking a dog, like, what
Yeah.
do you see?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Maybe we can
evidently.
retrieve our memories.
And-
Okay. So anyway, so the blindness, avidya, that we all are having, is not being able to see the process of the experience. Only be at the end of the experience and believing that that is permanently existing there. But that's what vast majority of us are doing. Although you're just nodding your head right now, even me nodding our head right now. When you go out from this room, we are back to blindness. Yes, bro.
So that has the same with your ears, nose, right? Taste. Everybody has that different. That's only how you perceive what you hear.
Yeah,
Well, then it does a tree fall in the forest. Does it make a sound if you're not there, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So Bambi, what we have to try to do is that, yeah, we see things, we hear things, but stop the process like from there. I mean, you see it, but don't think about,
Yeah,
don't kind of construct it. What you
yeah,
just said.
exactly. Maybe reduce our construction because this construction has different phases. Like initial vision is a automatic construction. We can't stop that as long as yeah. But based on initial construction, like example, I see this cushion and this, whatever the way I see it is also construction, but I can just see that image, and then there's a different the next level, next phase of construction, and then I bring all the memories that I had about this, cushion, and I can, develop. I can, remember so many things. I can develop anger towards it. I can develop attachment towards it. I can develop all kind of things towards it. So that part also happen as in the second phase. Maybe we can stop that at the at the first level.
Is that what you call prapancha?
Yeah, prapancha is the second phase. Maybe actually third phase. Because the first phase is automatic, and if you recognize it, we can. It's not harmful, just there. But second phase is little, connecting our memories and then giving a personal meaning to the cushion. Third phase is actually proliferation and fantasizing. Actually, prapancha is more like a fantasizing, and and I can have all the whole story, fantasy around this question. That's like a can we can call it third phase. So, and particularly whenever at our level, let's say whenever we develop some kind of anger or resentment, to dislike to something, or maybe when you realize when we have a desire, liking, attachment to something, take a moment, take a breath, and go back and then try to analyze how actually you experience that object, and try to understand that I'm disliking, or maybe my resentment is not to this object, and recognizing that the constructed nature of that experience, and my attachment is not really to the object, but the very construction that I have made. So when you realize that, you lose that anger or attachment, because you know that it's not really out there as we perceive it. But anyway, this is just simply conceptual understanding. But in order for us to come to that real true knowing, we need to practice. That is why you have. So this precept, there's a gradual way we can do it. It takes time. It's really simply really changing the whole way our mind works. Maybe maybe rewiring your whole brain to a complete different one. So it takes effort, takes practice. But at least to know that there's a blindness is so helpful. Imagine that you go to some place and then realize that it's very dark, maybe it's cloudy, and everything is dark, everything is cloudy, and you see everything in a dark way. Okay, that's what you see, and then you later realize that I'm wearing glasses. I'm wearing maybe sunglasses, and that's why I'm seeing this. Everything's like cloudy. Okay, now you still see what you saw in the same way, but at least now you are aware that what you are seeing, this cloudy nature, is because of the glass that you are wearing. So you will not be fooled by it. You will not fight about it. You will not crave. You still see the world exactly the same as you saw before, but just know that this is happening because of this can help us a lot. Even though we will not be able to remove our glass at once, it will take a long practice. But at least to know that this is happening because of this blindness is so helpful. Not to be fooled by the world, not to be fooled by our senses, our ignorance. Okay. Okay, Bante, let's. I would like to read to you. Um, this is a wonderful time. How Buddha became enlightened at the early morning, but it happened, the last part of the night. And of course, this is the culmination of a long journey. Even in his own current life, how many years, he practiced. He went to so many teachers, And all these things are recorded. He put there, kind of reported what and how he went through, and he met different teachers, right? Matagani the Kaudahaman. Halam, yeah, exactly. He was genuinely seeking this knowledge, so he went to the spiritual teachers, and then the well-known teachers, and then he really learned, and he learned their techniques. He also developed his meditation to a larger level by meeting those teachers. He thought that those teachers have the answers, so he went to two teachers. He practiced many years under teachers, but he realized they have something to offer, but it's not complete removal of the blindness, not complete freedom of the mind. And then he started his own practice, and he went to the extreme of ascetic practices. And many were impressed by him, because he really committed to that practice, and his body was was really weak. And there's one time that he only ate 1 grain a day, and because he realized that because because they thought that body is a kind of burden to the realization. And also they thought that by giving extreme pain to our body, we can alter our consciousness. That was a big science, actually. By giving extreme pains to the body, we can alter our consciousness. It happens to us too, right? I mean, when you're in deep pain, your consciousness change, right? So they thought that by purposely inflicting extreme forms of pain to our body can create altered state of the consciousness that can reveal the truth. So they believed that, and they did that, and ascetic Siddhartha was genuinely doing it, and there are records of it, how he really did it, and sometimes so disturbing to hear that, what kind of things he did. you know, he even slept on on nails, bed nails of bed. So many things, and then he realized that those things are not really working, and then he decided to stop that too. And that time, many of his friends and supporters got really disappointed with him. They thought that he returned to luxury, and they left him. After Siddhartha was by himself, then he discovered what we call the middle path, and what you call the eightfold path. He realized that there's no point of inflicting pain on the body. I have to take care of the body, and we can use our body as a tool, as a vehicle to go into deeper levels of realization. So instead of denying the body or torturing the body, he started to take care of his body, started to eat again, and all his friends left him, but he continued to practice eightfold path, the middle path. And then of course through that, and he discovered new types of meditation, new techniques of meditation, and physical comfort that he can experience through meditation, physical relaxation, what they call piti and sukha in Pali. And he discovered that there's a joy we can experience which is not related to sensuality, which is not related to unwholesome things. There's a different kind of joy we can experience in meditation. He called it piti and sukha, not the kama sukha, but the complete physical relaxation we can experience in our meditation, when our mind is not preoccupied with so many thoughts, so many concerns, so many vitaka, so many sensual thoughts, and we can experience deeper kind of happiness. And he rely on those happiness, and then continue his journey until he got the breakthrough. So I'm going to skip so many steps, and also not to mention how he practiced in his previous lives to come to this point. But this is the peak, the last moment of the long journey. So this is found in the sutta called Satchaka Sutta. There are few discourses, suttas, where Buddha described his own journey towards enlightenment. How he practiced all different kind of things. There's one important sutta called Arya Pariyesana Sutta. Arya Pariyesana means noble search, noble investigation, and how he did his own investigation. And the second one is called Satchaka Sutta. There are a few others, but these are very important gems for us to understand, the kind of journey that he went through in his journey towards the enlightenment. Okay, I'm going to read one part for you. Okay. The enlightenment occurred to the Buddha. Let's say awakening. Awakening occurred to the Buddha. Um, through three breakthroughs. He developed three types of knowledge. He kind of, it was revealed to him. Three types of knowledges were revealed to him. We called them Tevid or Trividya. Trividya. It happened because of the deep samadhi, deep composure, deep tranquility, still state of the mind that he achieved. So let me see. Okay, he just explained. I mean, there's a long discussion, but I'm going to, read the gist of it. This is like a pinnacle of a long thing, but let's, be familiar with that. He's explained the fourth experience of the fourth jhana. With abandoning of pleasure and pain, with previous passing away of joy and displeasure, I entered and dwell in the fourth jhana, which is neither painful nor pleasant, includes the purification of mindfulness and equanimity. But such a pleasing feeling that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. So when we calm our mind and we can experience deep and deeper levels of calmness if we have a long practice, it's more like almost like shutting down certain parts of the mind. The deep peace comes through shutting down discursive rational part of the mind, and then go into like deeper and deeper calmness. So the first jhana we have certain discursive activities, and second jhana you remove vitak and vichara, only you have the complete joy and peace, and when you go to third jhana you even get rid of the joy and you only have the deep sukha, physical relaxation. The fourth jhana you even get rid of that, and it's more like removing the complexity of the mind and making it simple and refined, and it can be so powerful at that point. At the fourth jhana, only after the fourth jhana this happens in the mind of the Buddha. When my mind was thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, steady, and attained to the imperturbability, imperturbability, akuppa, like it's not moving at all. I directed it to the knowledge of the recollection of past lives. I recollected my many false past lives. That was his first breakthrough. Due to extreme forms of calmness and the tranquility of the mind, first knowledge came to him that he is actually like recovering memories. Actually, he recollected. I recollected my many false past lives. 1 birth, 2 births, 3 births, 4 births, 5 births, 10 births, 20 births, and go on to like 1,000 births. And many eons of world construction, many eons of world expansion. Means that the according to Buddhist cosmology, the earth that we are living is not the only place we can find life, and it's not the only time that this life is having on this earth. Any planet have a period of expansion, has a period of contraction, and right now is a period of expansion. Therefore, life exists, but eventually this can be a period of contraction. This will not be suitable for life. Life can exist somewhere else, but this planet can again come back to expansion, which is suitable for life. So Buddha said that we may have lived many times. So he's talking about millions of years ago. But anyway, he recovered the memory. That was the first breakthrough to him. So there I was so named of such clan with such appearance, with such was my nutriment. Because different births we have different nutriment, and such my experience of pleasure and pain, such my lifespan, such passing away from there and reborn elsewhere. So kind of recovering his memories of his journey, and when it revealed to him, that was a big realization. So what we call today samsara, the cycle of birth and death, was a direct personal experience he had. Just simple recovering his memories, how he kind of came through, but also realizing that the journey of samsara happens without a permanent entity within ourselves. That was the another important point to remember, that we can have a continuity without a permanent entity within us. And so that anyway, that was the first revelation, first breakthrough that he had. And by this was the first true knowledge attained by me in the first watch of the night. In the first watch of the night. The night has 3 watches, from midnight to morning. So first watch of the night. Bante කොහොමද කියන්නේ පෙර ඥාන පුබ්බේ නිවාසාරං සඥානි. In the first watch of the night, maybe around past 12 midnight to 2 o'clock, around that time. First watch of the night. And ignorance was banished and true knowledge arose. Darkness was banished and light arose, as happens in one who dwells diligent, ardent, resolute. So that was his first knowledge. Okay, let's go to the second one. What will be his second breakthrough? When my mind was thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, steady, attained to imperturbability, I directed it to the knowledge of passing away and rebirth of beings. With this, he called it divine eye. With the divine eye, which is purified, surpasses the human, I saw beings passing away and being reborn, inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate. I understood how beings fare on according to their actions. These beings who behave wrongly by body, speech, and mind, who reviled the noble ones, held wrong views, undertook actions based on wrong views, with the breakup of the body after death, have been reborn in a state of misery, in a bad destination. But though these beings who behaved well by body, speech, and mind, who did not revile the noble ones, who held right view, undertook the actions based on right view, with the breakup of the body after death, have been reborn in a good destination. So the second revelation for him is to be able to see how beings are being born, dying and reborning again based on their karma action. So in the first breakthrough, he realized his own journey. In the second breakthrough, he realized that it's not only in me, but also is the same with other beings too. So first knowledge is more like we can call it vertical knowledge, like he went through his own journey. The second one is more like a horizontal knowledge, that the same thing happening to everyone else too. So his teaching on the karma, which means that our volitional actions has a big impact on us, and the quality of our life is largely constructed not by someone else, but actually through our volitional choices, with our volitional actions. And that's the basic message of the karma. And our volitional actions have an impact not only on our current life, it can also have impact on our next life. And whatever volitional action that we have done previously have an impact on this life too. So, and this, so this teaching of the karma is actually coming from his second personal direct knowledge of opening his eyes and develop this ability to see how other beings are dying and reborning based on their karma, based on their action. But because the moment I use the term karma, you get all kind of baggage, meaning the fate and whatever kind of things. But it's simply our volitional choices, volitional actions that we do purposely, and it has an impact even after the action is done. Okay. So thus was the second true knowledge attained by me, the middle watch of the night. Ignorance was banished, the true knowledge arose, darkness was banished, the light arose, as happiness in one who dwells diligent, ardent, and resolute. But he's not fully enlightened yet. The true, the real, the key realization and enlightenment is the third one. Because previous two was also knowledge abilities that was common in some other ascetics too. And many other ascetics also have the same ability, but sometimes they come to wrong conclusions based on their knowledges. So that happens the second watch of the night. Now comes the third watch of the night, which means like maybe after around 4 o'clock early morning. That's where the real true realization, the last culmination happens. When my mind was thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, steady, attained to the imperturbability, I directed it to the knowledge of the destruction of taints. I directly knew, as it actually is, this is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the way to lead into the cessation of suffering. I directly knew, as it actually is, these are the taints. These are the origin of taints. Taint means asava, careless. This is the cessation of taints. This is the way leading to the cessation of taints. When I knew and saw this, my mind was liberated from the taints of sensual desire, from the taint of desire for existence, from the taint of ignorance. When it was liberated, there came the knowledge. It is liberated. I directly knew birth is ended for me. A spiritual life has been lived. What has to be done has been done. There's no more coming back to any state of being. We call it asavakkhaya jnana, the knowledge that the knowledge of the destruction of defilements. It is the third opening, the third watch of the night. Buddha had a deep realization about the dukkha, the key, most central part of his enlightenment, realizing that there's an underlying unhappiness that exists in all living beings, irrespective of their whatever condition that they are in. There's an underlying unhappiness, unsatisfactoriness. And we experience this unhappiness in different levels in our life based on different times and depending on basic experience. Whether we are in our most happiest moment, there's also underlying, dissatisfaction going on. That is called dukkha. And so his breakthrough to this reality that all living beings are in a state of dissatisfaction, in a state of dukkha. Although we are joyous and jubilant and happy, we know that's not going to stay long, right? And so then he realized this deep truth that the all living beings are in this state, and then he has also realization why that is the case, why we are all in some kind of dissatisfaction, and it is our inability to see how these things are happening, but at the same time it's also the craving that we develop for different sensual experiences, and craving for ego, craving for self, craving for, we call bhavatanha, craving for existence as a separate individual being, craving for self identity. And then he realized that if this is the case, the complete freedom would be to eradication of this craving for gratification and craving for self identity. This craving, but in order to eradicate the craving, we need to eradicate the ignorance. And so the Four Noble Truths is the realization that he had at the third watch of the night. And then, of course, it's all related to defilement, so asava, and he also realized how asava exists in the mind, how asava is arising in the mind, how asava can be eradicated in the mind, and what is the path to eradicate that asava in the mind. And that path is the Eightfold Path that we are following, starting with this conceptual right understanding, and then setting our resolves, and then following a moral behavior, and using our moral life to practice meditation, and going to deeper and deeper level of calmness, and then have these realizations for ourselves. This was the third knowledge that attained by me in the last watch of the night. Ignorance was banished, true knowledge arose, darkness was banished, light arose. Aloko udapadi, panya udapadi, vijja udapadi. The avijja is the ignorance of blindness. Vijja is the realization and knowing, directly experiencing it. Vijja, knowledge, light arose. That is from Mahasachaka Sutta. Okay, so now we have some idea how the Buddha became the Buddha. What it means to be the Buddha, the awakened one. And his awakening has deeper meaning to the whole living beings. Of course, it shows that how we are all living under blindness. We are all living with basic unsatisfactoriness, but that can be overcome. But just remember the first two knowledge that he had. He's recovering his own memories of his past lives, and also see how other beings are dying and being born into different levels of existence based on their karma. And it shows that actually how much power that we have with our own actions, our volitional action, the decision that we make, choices we make, volitional choices we make in our life, is have a real impact on our life. And so therefore the life that we are living is actually largely constructed by our previous choices, previous actions that we have done. But it's not over, because we are also still have the capacity to make choices right now, to volitional actions right now. So what we do right now is impacting. So it gives kind of freedom, and it's kind of maybe kind of what you call agency to our own actions, that our actions, our choices truly matter to our life. And that is why we have to be mindful and responsible for our choices and our actions. They truly matter. They really construct a world for us. But of course, there's a natural laws governing us too. And it also shows that actually, when you saw that how other beings are, experience different, experiences based on the actions. Sometimes when we come to good and bad, we think that good, what is good and what is bad, it can be changed from time to time. We think that it's more like a social conventions, right? Maybe right and wrong may be social conventions, but I think good and bad has a universal nature to it. Whether we believe it is right or wrong, it can be either bad or good. Therefore, there's a universal standard for good and bad. And whatever action that produce dukkha is necessarily akusala, unwholesome. whether we believe it or not, whether we socially recognize it as a right or wrong. And whatever action that does not produce dukkha, it is kusala, it's wholesome. So there's a moral standard that is universal. How we decide it, whether it produces suffering or not. If any actions, any decision, any speech, anything that produces suffering in us, suffering others, is necessarily bad. Whether we believe it or not, whether we socially accepted it or not. Because that's a natural, function, natural law. And whatever action that does not produce such a suffering in person, maybe peace, calmness, and happiness in us and others, is necessarily good. So that's the other important message we can learn from that. Okay, where's the watch? Yeah. Okay, so we got some understanding of what it means to be enlightened, what the real meaning of the Buddha, why we are celebrating the Buddha. If people know the real, meaning of the enlightenment, everybody should be celebrating it. Because this is really, being, at least understanding the possibility of freedom, and it is within us. Even though we don't achieve this, the full fathom freedom, full fathom, realization, at least have some glimpses of the realization can give us such a great freedom. And so that's why we are here. I think now maybe it's a time for us to practice and maybe, try to experience some kind of calmness that Buddha has experienced, so we can get the glimpses to that level of calmness. The level of calmness we achieve can give us to that level of knowledge and realization. So let us practice meditation right now. Okay, so we'll do it. I would like to start our meditation while standing, because we have been sitting for some time now. We can do it. Kisanya, would you like to do some meditation? Can you meditate? Yeah, learn some meditation too, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can. Yeah, we can. Yeah. Can you move your cushion somewhere here? So when you do meditation, it's better to be, by ourselves. Don't try to hit anyone. Okay. So can you stand firmly? Maybe you can spread your foot a little bit apart. Okay, good. Can you feel the weight of your body in your both feet? Or are you leaning to one foot? Are you distributing weight evenly in your both feet? Both feet, right? Okay, that's how we want to stand. We can relax our hands and let us develop our mindfulness to our own body. අපි කවුරුත් අපි ඉරියව්ව ගැන මෙනෙහි කිරීමක් කරමු. ඉරියාපත භාවනා විදිහට. Pay attention to the posture of your body and noticing exactly how this body is sitting here now. You can mentally draw the basic outline of your body. How your feet are thoroughly grounded to the floor. And how you keep your upper body. And observe how your hands are hanging by themselves. And acknowledge that I'm standing here firmly. Let us try to simplify our mind without having any other thoughts or concerns. Anything that already happened has happened. There's no point right now to think about those things. They are gone forever. And whatever is going to happen in future, we don't know. Yeah, they are still in the making. But right now, this is truly present here. This awareness of the body. I'm standing firmly. This is only truly happening now. Just let us keep our mind in the actual, true experience and let it to be there, making it so simple and less complex. With the awareness of the body, you may begin to feel your own breath, gentle flowing through your nostrils and having subtle changes to your body. And just notice those experience of the breathing, how the air is moving through our nostrils, touching the inner walls of the nostrils. How the air is coming out through the nostrils. You can also notice other changes happening in the body. When you're breathing in, what is happening to the chest, the belly. Closely watch it with curiosity, with openness. Closely watch. And what is happening to the body when the breath air is going out. With this awareness of the body, we will gently get ready to sit down, but take your time and sit down very gently and slowly. Try to maintain this awareness even when you are sitting down. Notice how your knees are bending. Notice how you lower your body. Notice the areas of your body first touch the ground or cushion. And try to maintain that full awareness in this change of the posture. With full awareness, observing every little thing happening in your body. Just now, slowly, mindfully, sit down. Adjust your body in this posture. Keep an upright body. Keep your chin straight, somewhat parallel with the earth. Rest your palms on your lap. Let us maintain this awareness of the body. Again, you can come to your body and try to feel it. Which part of your body you have the most prominent sensations? Maybe the touch of the cushion, the weight of the body. Maybe sensation with your own clothes. Or maybe your palms and fingers. Whatever the sensations available in the body, let us use them as an anchor to be here in this moment and to simplify our mind and to purify our mind from all other unwholesome, unnecessary thoughts. With this awareness of the body, listen to the sound of the bell and to the chant, and then let your mind settle further and further into this moment. Throughout the bell and the chant, stay in your body. If you feel your breath, notice it. Otherwise, simply have the awareness of your body. maintaining the awareness of the body. We will now gently pay attention to our breath, using the experience of the breath to settle our mind. The running mind or distracted mind is not capable of seeing what is truly happening within ourselves. We need to bring that mind into a deeper calmness, to directly experience what is happening within us. Just like the Buddha, let us use our breath to bring that calmness to us. This calmness is extremely healing. It is extremely peaceful. It's also giving us the opportunity to see through. So with great effort, let us bring our whole attention to our breath. If you don't feel it clearly, you can purposely lengthen your breath a little bit and try to experience it. And notice the experience of in-breath, how you feel the cooling air coming through, going into your lungs, filling your lungs. And notice the different experience of the out-breath, how it is going out, relaxing your body. This is only process happening right now. Whatever comes to our mind is not necessarily real. It's simply our image of what has happened or what is happening or what's going to happen. It's not necessarily real, but the breath is real. Let us be with our breath. Whenever we have other sounds, or whenever we have other thoughts or sounds, we notice them, acknowledge them, and without dwelling there too long, we come back to the breath. Let us keep coming back to the breath again and again in next few minutes. Be with your breath. Keep coming back to the breath again and again. Dukkha patace nidukkha bhayapattace nibbaya sokapattace nisukha hontu sabbepi paninu. May all those who are suffering be free from suffering. May all those who are in fear be free from fear. May all those who are grieving be free from grief. May all beings be well and happy. Gently come out of your meditation and put your palms together and deeply feel grateful for this moment to have peaceful meditation. With deep gratitude to our Supreme Buddha for helping us to understand this possibility of enlightenment. And with deep gratitude to all great teachers lived in the past, let us say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so before we take a short break and then we have Buddha Puja afterwards, we would like to share you the what Buddha uttered just after his enlightenment. Altimade? That's the first sermon of the Buddha. But after his enlightenment, what he uttered as the first words. Bante is going to chant that. Okay, listen. Okay, so this is what Buddha uttered. Of course, later he shared it. Nobody was there. I mean, because all left. He was just by himself under the Bodhi tree. Tree is the only support that he had. That's why he was so grateful to the Bodhi tree. So he was by himself. But this is what he uttered. But he later, reported what this is what happened. So Bante is going to recite that. Anika jati sansarang sandavisang animbisang gahakarakang gavesanto dukkha jati punam punang gahakaraka dittosi punagehang nakahasi Sabbati pasuka bangga gahakutang visangkitang visangkara gatan cittan tanhanang kaya majjagati. Okay, this is actually a poem. He uttered. It was an utterance of joy. It's a poetic utterance. So I'm going to read the translation. Of course, translation doesn't really capture the poetic quality of his verse. But let me read. Through many births, I wandered in samsara, seeking but not finding the builder of this house. What we Gahakarak. The house, what he meant by the house is the house of I, this house of ego. Seeking but not finding the builder of this house. Who created this? builder of this house. Painful is the repeated existence. House builder, you are saying now. You shall build no house again. Your rafters are broken. Your ridge pole is shattered. My mind has attained the unconditioned. The end of craving is achieved. That was in a poetic expression what came from the Buddha's mouth after enlightenment. Through many births, I have wandered, seeking but not finding who built this, who creates me, who creates this I, who creates this existence. And looking and not finding. I was seeking but not finding. But today, house builder, I saw you. Buddha said that. Today I saw you. Gahakaraka dittosi. The Gahakaraka and Vaduata. House builder, I saw you. I saw you. I saw you today. You shall build no house for me again. Your rafters are broken. But not only rafters, actually, the ridge pole. Those days, the roofs are, made from the ridge pole in Kanimada ridge pole. When you shatter the ridge pole, there are no houses. Ridge pole is shattered. My mind has attained the unconditioned. The end of craving is achieved. There you see who is the house builder. The house builder is craving. This is a self-perpetuating process. No one to blame. Self-perpetuating process. The self-centered craving is the house builder. But we don't see it. We are blind. Buddha said that, today I saw you. I got you. You're not going to make any more house for me again. And visankaragatan chittan, my mind has gone to the unconditioned. Because we all keep constructing, and that's how we construct the world. Buddha has experienced the unconditioned. The unconditioned state, which is the Nibbana, the enlightenment. Okay. That's what happened to the Buddha. We still don't know fully. Some idea. Okay, now we can have a short break. If you want restroom, you can use, and then we come back in 5 minutes for our chanting and offerings. Pritesh, can you touch it again? Can you touch it? Those who are joining us over YouTube, we are going to have a chanting and then lunch afterwards. So I think so we are going to end the stream for the morning session here, and we will start in the afternoon. What time? 12:30 we will start. So have your break and have your lunch, and we'll see you at 12:30.